I throw hands, right? You know that I throw hands, right? You know that I throw hands, right? You know that I throw hands, right?
I still got one bitch. I'ma smack the wig off. And then I'ma change.
The young woman you see here casually walking through an airport with a bag is Sakina Thompson, a 31-year-old woman, unaware that her life and the life of another would soon be shattered by her chilling mission. Sakina is traveling from New York City to Florida, but this isn't a vacation. She's on a deadly mission to kill her husband's secret lover, a woman who is now pregnant with his child. On the night of July 13, 2022, the quiet summer evening in South Florida was about to take a violent turn. 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson was at home, enjoying what she thought would be a peaceful night. She had no idea that just a few miles away, Sakina was boarding a flight, her mind set on one horrific mission. At 4:30 a.m., a neighbor would call 911, frantic, reporting screams and the sound of breaking glass. The scene that greeted first responders at Tamarack Village was a nightmare. The front door to Kayla's apartment was ajar, and when officers stepped inside, they found her body lifeless on the floor, surrounded by shards of broken glass, blood staining the tiles. Surveillance footage from the building would show a woman dressed in a block, oversized hoodie and gloves, her face hidden, her steps deliberate as she approached Kayla's apartment. But what happened next? That would send shivers through the investigation, spiraling into a twisted chain of events no one could have predicted. But before we uncover the chilling evidence that points to Kayla's killer, let's rewind to the start of this tragic story. 28-year-old Kayla Hodgson was born on July 1, 2002 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where she grew up in a small family that cherished the simple joys of life. Her family was everything to her, and together they enjoyed the warmth of each other's company. With a warm smile that could brighten up any room, Kayla became known among her friends as the dependable, loving soul who always put others first. Whether it was helping her family with chores, supporting her friends through tough times, or offering a comforting word when someone was feeling down, Kayla's heart of gold made her someone people could always count on, which was evident from the number of people who would mourn her tragic death. She graduated from Fort Lauderdale High School with high hopes and a bright future ahead. With a passion for business, she went on to pursue a degree in business, dreaming of one day starting her own company, but in the meantime, she took a job as a bartender. But Kayla wasn't just book smart. She had a natural sense of leadership and creativity. She had big dreams and an even bigger desire to make a positive impact on the world around her. She would often post motivational quotes, funny moments, and creative photos on her social media. To her followers, Kayla's life seemed full of potential, filled with ambition and a love for life. Her friends and family could see it in her. Kayla had the drive, determination, and heart to achieve anything she set her mind to. Tragically, she would not live to fulfill that desire. However, everything began to shift when Terry, the man she thought was her world, was revealed to be hiding a dark truth. At the time, Kayla was in a committed relationship with Terry, who was her partner, her future. He was the person she envisioned building a life with. But what Kayla didn't know was that Terry wasn't entirely hers. He was also in a relationship with another woman, 28-year-old Sakina Thompson. But when Sakina found out she was 2 months pregnant by Terry, the secrets began to spill, and a storm was about to hit. Sakina, shocked and heartbroken by the reality of Terry's double life, confronted him about the situation. But the drama didn't end there. Soon enough, the turmoil would reach a boiling point. Kayla was a low-key type of person. She enjoyed the quiet moments in life and preferred staying away from the spotlight. Unlike Sakina, who thrived in it, Kayla wasn't one for posting about herself on social media or constantly seeking attention. Sakina, a nail tech from New York, was completely different. She loved posting about herself and her life on social media, using it as a platform to showcase her success and the luxurious lifestyle she was living. Her business as a nail technician was thriving, and with that success came the confidence to flaunt it. Sakina would share extravagant posts where she's receiving gifts, going on lavish vacations, and attending glamorous parties with Terry, her boyfriend. She wasn't shy about letting the world know that she was the main girlfriend in Terry's life, or at least that's how she portrayed it. For Sakina, social media was a way to validate her place in Terry's world. Every post, every picture was a declaration of her relationship, of her worth, and of the life she was building for herself. But what Sakina didn't realize was that her constant need to broadcast her life would soon catch up to her. As Terry juggled his relationships with both women, his actions started to draw more attention than he could handle. His relationship with Kayla in Florida, who preferred privacy, was about to collide with the very public life that Sakina had built online. Soon, the cracks in his double life began to show. On the night of July 13, 2022, a quiet summer evening in South Florida was about to take a violent turn. 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson was at home, minding her own business and preparing for a calm night ahead. Little did she know, just a few miles away, Sakina Thompson, who was pregnant, was boarding a flight to Fort Lauderdale from New York. Sakina, a woman filled with jealousy, pain which she couldn't shake off, had made up her mind to confront her romantic rival. The journey that night didn't just involve a plane ride, it was a calculated, premeditated decision. Sakina arrived in Florida, rented a car, and checked into a hotel preparing for the moment when she would confront Kayla, her boyfriend's new girlfriend. With a disguise that included a wig, gloves, and a mask, Sakina planned to catch Kayla off guard. As night fell, Kayla continued with her evening. Unbeknownst to her, the woman who had been watching her online, reading her posts, studying her life, was just outside her door. A knock echoed through the apartment. Kayla opened the door expecting to find nothing more than another quiet night, but standing in front of her was Sakina, barely recognizable. What followed inside that apartment wasn't just a confrontation, it was a violent struggle. Prosecutors later described the scene as chaotic. Furniture was overturned, glass shattered, and Kayla fought to defend herself. However, Sakina would later claim that she only tried to speak to Kayla to leave Terry alone, which was an obvious lie. There were signs of defensive wounds, but Sakina was too angry, too consumed by jealousy to stop. In a moment of rage, the struggle ended, with Kayla lying lifeless on the floor, her life stolen in an instant. She had been stabbed with sharp objects multiple times. But Sakina didn't stop there. Once Kayla was down, she wiped down surfaces, gathered what she could, even going as far as wearing Kayla's clothes as her own had been soaked by Kayla's blood. Then she fled the scene, her heart racing, knowing what she had done, but unable to undo the violence she just unleashed. Within minutes, she was gone, heading back to her hotel, then boarding a flight back to New York the next morning. For Sakina, the crime wasn't random, it was deliberate, and the flight records, hotel receipts, and surveillance footage all pointed directly to her. As Kayla's body lay cold in her apartment, a young woman's future was forever erased, and a family was left grappling with the brutality of what had just happened. The crime didn't just take one life, it destroyed two families, the victims and the perpetrators. In the blink of an eye, an obsession had turned into murder. But the story is only beginning. The first responders arrived at Tamarack Village in the early hours of July 14, 2022, after a neighbor called 911, reporting screams and the sound of breaking glass. When officers arrived, they found the front door to Kayla's apartment ajar. The apartment was eerily silent. Inside, they discovered the horrific scene. Kayla lying lifeless on the floor, surrounded by shards of broken glass and traces of blood.
Elisa, thanks. And now to a tragedy in Tamarack after a woman is found dead. 7's Samantha Sosa is there live with more on the investigation and what we know about the victim. Samantha.
Tavares, good afternoon. The Broward County Sheriff's Office's mobile command center is still here on the scene as investigators continue processing evidence here. And now the Sheriff's Office is officially calling this a murder investigation. Detectives continue going in and out of a second-floor unit Thursday afternoon at the Tamarack Village Apartments along Commercial Boulevard. Investigators processing bags of evidence, including some found outside on the sidewalk. This command center here more than 20 hours after a deadly discovery.
Our caller says that there's a gash on the patient's neck It looks like someone slashed her neck.
This harrowing 911 call went through around 3 in the afternoon Thursday. Broward deputies later finding a young woman dead. Family says she was just 23 years old. Friends identify her as Kayla Hodgson, pictured here, a flight attendant and bartender for special events. Crime scene tape surrounded the area. 7 Skyforce hovered above the investigation, where detectives say the victim died under suspicious circumstances. A man also seen being transported by ambulance. Family and friends of the woman who died quickly showing up, some embracing while others anxiously waited for answers. Deputies focusing part of their investigation on this white Range Rover parked nearby. Neighbors coming home to see the massive crime scene, worried for their own safety.
You know, you don't know if it's someone that lives here, or if it's someone that the person knew that lives outside, but yeah, it's definitely concerning.
Detectives immediately suspected that this wasn't a random attack. The force of the violence suggested that the killer had a personal connection to Kayla. As they canvassed the area, they gathered critical pieces of evidence: a blood-stained cloth, a torn piece of fabric from what appeared to be a wig, and the unmistakable signs of a struggle. But the most important evidence wasn't physical, it was digital. When they reviewed Kayla's phone, they uncovered a series of disturbing messages that painted a picture of mounting tension between Kayla and Sakina Thompson. There were screenshots of social media posts, blocked accounts, and cryptic comments that hinted at growing animosity. The most telling discovery, however, was the fact that Sakina had been blocked on social media by Kayla, a simple act that would spark a chain of events leading to the tragic confrontation. Detectives quickly turned their attention to the timeline of events leading up to the murder. They subpoenaed flight records and hotel logs and were soon able to trace Sakina's movements. A flight from New York to Fort Lauderdale had been booked just days before the murder, and security footage from the airport showed Sakina moving through the terminal, calm and focused. From there, she rented a car and checked into a nearby hotel. Surveillance footage from the hotel and nearby areas revealed Sakina purchasing items including a disguise, a wig, gloves, and a face mask, all of which would later be found at the crime scene. It became clear that Sakina had planned this attack. She hadn't simply shown up in a fit of rage, she had come prepared. Her decision to wear a disguise suggested that she knew exactly what she was going to do and wanted to conceal her identity. It wasn't just a moment of impulse, it was a carefully orchestrated act of jealousy and revenge. The detectives followed the evidence, piecing together the sequence of events. Around 11 p.m. on July 13th, Sakina was seen walking toward Kayla's apartment, her head down, her body concealed in dark clothes. Surveillance footage captured her knocking on the door, the moment that would forever change both of their lives. It was clear now, Sakina had come there for one reason and one reason only: to confront Kayla, to punish her for being with the man Sakina could not let go of. But despite the mounting proof, Sakina would later offer her own version of events. In interviews with police, Sakina claims that she had blacked out during the altercation. She told them that she had been scared, cornered, and attacked first by Kayla, who allegedly slashed her with a piece of glass. But the evidence didn't support her story. No signs of an attack on Sakina's body were found, and the forensic analysis showed that Kayla had fought back in defense, but was ultimately overpowered. Sakina's defense rested on the claim of self-defense and her temporary loss of control, but the prosecution painted a much darker picture. They highlighted her preparation, the wig, the gloves, the rented car, the flight booking, all of which indicated that this was not an impulsive act of self-defense, but a calculated decision to end Kayla's life. Her attempt to cover her tracks only solidified the case against her. As the detectives dug deeper into Sakina's past, they uncovered a history of volatile relationships, emotional instability, and unresolved jealousy. Her obsession with her boyfriend's new girlfriend had been growing for months, and the tension between her and Kayla had been building steadily. For Sakina, the block on social media had been the final straw, the point at which she couldn't take it anymore. Sakina returned to New York the following day, but the law wasn't far behind. Once they had collected all the evidence, it became clear that Sakina had committed a premeditated murder. On July 18, 2022, an arrest warrant was issued for her. Authorities tracked her down in Queens, New York, and when they knocked on her door, Sakina didn't resist. She simply asked one chilling question: did she die? Sakina was arrested without incident and extradited to Florida to try for first-degree murder with a weapon. But while she was now in custody, the investigation continued.
On an arrest in New York City, this after a young woman was killed last month inside her apartment in Tamarack. The Broward Sheriff's Office announced that the suspect, Sakina Thompson, is now in custody. CBS 4's Peter Dinch joins us live from the Tamarack Village complex with the very latest on this story. Peter.
Well, Naja, BSO says that the suspect was arrested in a neighborhood in Queens. That was 3 weeks after the homicide here. It's also where residents are relieved.
I feel terribly bad that happened to her.
Shayla Hernandez was horrified by the murder of her neighbor, identified by friends and family members as 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson, seen here and in photos in a post from loved ones on a fundraising website. BSO says they responded to Hodgson's second-floor apartment on July 13th after a 911 call about an unresponsive woman. They say they discovered that Hodgson died at the scene here at the Tamarack Village complex. On July 25th, a warrant was issued for 28-year-old Sakina Thompson. She was arrested on Wednesday in New York City.
Making an arrest makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
BSO is not saying what led them to their suspect, but an arrest affidavit says Sakina Thompson was demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life by stabbing with a sharp object with a premeditated intent to cause death.
I am very happy to hear about it because we were scared. We heard different stories from different people, and I happen to live on the floor above her, so I'm very happy. It makes me feel a lot better and more secure that they finally arrested somebody.
BSO has not said what the motive was. It's not clear when Thompson will be extradited. Right now, she is charged with first-degree murder. We are live in Tamarack. Peter Dinch, CBS 4 News.
What could drive a woman to such extreme lengths to board a flight, don a disguise, and take a life in a moment of jealousy and rage? And what would the trial reveal about the woman who chose revenge over reconciliation? Sakina Thompson, facing mounting charges, wrote a letter to the judge pleading for leniency and hoping for a chance to avoid jail time, but her request was swiftly rejected. The judge ruled against her, and she was taken into custody to await her trial. As the trial began, Sakina was placed under intense scrutiny. When asked directly why she had taken Kayla's life, she stuck to her story, continuing to lie about the events that led up to the murder. Despite the mounting evidence against her, Sakina refused to take responsibility. During the proceedings, she chose to testify in her own defense, speaking for over 2 hours. It was her chance to explain herself, but what she said only deepened the mystery of her actions. Sakina openly admitted to feeling a deep sense of jealousy over the relationship her boyfriend, Terry, had with Kayla. She revealed that the constant comparison to Kayla, the woman she saw as the other woman in Terry's life, had consumed her.
Over 2 hours of testifying in her own defense, Sakina Thompson told jurors she was jealous of the relationship her boyfriend had with the victim, Kayla Hodgson.
A little, I guess you could say, jealous and insecure.
In a shocking revelation during the trial, Sakina admitted to flying from New York to Tamarack in July 2022 with the primary intention of confronting Kayla about their complicated relationship. She had hoped to make Kayla understand the severity of her mental state. Kayla understand the tension she had been feeling and convince her to step away from Terry. Security footage captured the unexpected arrival, with Thompson standing at the door, seemingly ready to face the woman she believed had stolen her place in Terry's life. When Kayla led her inside, what followed was not a calm discussion but an explosive argument over their tangled love triangle. According to Sakina, the conversation quickly escalated. What was supposed to be an attempt to resolve the tension between them turned into a violent exchange. Thompson claimed that during the argument, Kayla, in a moment of rage, struck her over the head with a hookah, intensifying the already volatile situation.
She just starts grabbing my hair and punching me, and I'm on the floor. I'm kicking. I'm trying to get up to fight back at this point because now it's a fight.
Thompson was 2 months pregnant at the time.
She admitted she had no option than to defend herself using a sharp object. The confrontation set the stage for what would soon spiral into a tragic and irreversible series of events. After a lengthy trial, Sakina Thompson was ultimately found guilty of the murder of Kayla Hodgson. On December 1st, 2025, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom was tense as the judge delivered the sentence, condemning Thompson's actions in the harshest terms. He highlighted the sheer brutality of her decision to fly across the country to confront and ultimately kill her romantic rival, describing it as a crime born from jealousy and malice. As the sentencing proceeded, Kayla's family was present, showing their support with Justice for Kayla t-shirts. Their faces reflected a mix of relief and sorrow. Though justice had been served, the pain of losing Kayla could never truly be erased. For her family, the verdict brought a sense of closure, but it didn't ease the heartache. The truth had come to light, and the woman who had taken Kayla's life was being held accountable. The emotions that followed the jury's decision were raw and intense. Kayla's family members clung to one another, tears streaming down their faces as they processed the fact that justice had been served. But despite the relief that justice had been achieved, the pain of Kayla's loss was still deeply felt. The Hodgson family knew they would never get back the young woman they loved. They would never hear her laugh again or see her share life's special moments. In the aftermath of the trial, reports surfaced that Terry, the man at the center of the love triangle, had seemingly moved on. Word was that he was already living his life with other women, showing little to no regard for Kayla's death or the devastation his actions had caused. It seemed that, for him, the drama was over and he had turned the page, while Kayla's family continued to live with the scars of the tragedy. The Hodgson family used their grief to push for greater awareness about the dangers of online harassment and the impact that unchecked emotions can have in the digital world. For those affected by similar situations, Kayla's family urged people to speak out, seek support, and avoid allowing unresolved jealousy and bitterness to fester. They shared the message that no one should feel that the only way to regain control of a situation is through violence. The Hodgson family spoke about the importance of conflict resolution, communication, and being aware of the signs of someone who might be spiraling out of control. Their hope was that by telling Kayla's story, others could be spared the heartbreak they were forced to endure. Kayla's death, while devastating, has sparked conversations about the role that social media plays in modern conflicts and relationships. It has raised questions about how we manage our emotions online and how easily things can spiral into something unmanageable when communication turns toxic. As Kayla's family and the community navigated through their sorrow, they urged everyone who heard their story to take action when they see signs of jealousy, anger, and obsession, especially in the digital age. It's a call to action for all of us to take a step back, think before we act, and understand that our choices can have irreversible consequences. The Hodgson family's grief will never fully fade, but in the wake of their loss, they continue to spread a message of hope, healing, and awareness to those around them, hoping to prevent another tragedy like this one. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.